Hi everyone! I'd like to share with you today a book that has had a profound influence on my journey in becoming a violinist. In this video, I'll share with you an overview of the book, key points why every violinist should read this book, and how to read this book. Well, here is the book. Principles of Violin Playing and Teaching by Ivan Galamian. This book has been my companion since I was a teenager. Here is my old copy. As you can see, it's completely worn out. If you have not heard of Ivan Galamian before, you have for sure heard of his students. Itzhak Perlman, Pinka Zuckerman, Michael Rabin. Galamian himself had great violin teachers, Konstantin Mostras and Leopold Auer. I have covered Auer's book, Violin Playing as I Teach It, in a previous video, so check it out. In his book, Galamian provides a wealth of knowledge, vast experience, and realistic assessments of the challenges in learning to play the violin. The book is divided into 4 parts: technique and interpretation, left hand, right hand, on practicing. In the first part, Galamian lays out the fundamental of his teaching method, and I believe the most valuable takeaway: the relationship between the mind and muscles. Galamian calls it correlation. The mind sending smooth, quick, and accurate commandments to our muscles. This is something we all somehow know, but very often fail to follow. We know it as mindless practice. I'm sure you can relate to it. So can I. Discussing the left and right hand technique, Galamian in detail writes about posture, how to hold the violin and bow, and he explains the function of every finger. He talks about how we should develop a feeling for placing our fingers on the fingerboard, guided by our ear. This helped me develop a good intonation and position shift. I started practicing with my eyes closed, and within a short period of time, I started playing in tune and be more precise in shifting positions. Again, here, it's important for the mind to control and command the muscles and fingers. I'd like to point out here how Galamian writes all this in an easy and understandable way so that one can grasp the logic of what he advises and that you can start implementing it right away. Of course, the pinnacle of the book is on how to practice. Unlike Karl Flesch and Leopold Auer, Galamian does not talk about how long to practice, but he gives advice on how to structure our practice time. Galamian himself says, "There is nothing more precious to an instrumentalist than the ability to work efficiently, to know how to accomplish the maximum in beneficial results while using the minimum of time to do so." In other words, less time, more results. Galamian divides practicing time into 3 blocks. First one, building time, where the violinist practices basic technique, scales, etudes, technical problems from the repertoire. Galamian here emphasizes the word correlation. The second block is interpreting time. That's where the violinist covers the musical side of the piece, phrasing, musical logic, shaping of a section, movement, and a whole composition. And the third block is performing time, is where the violinist plays like as if she were at a concert. The time spent on individual blocks, as Galamian says, depends on the current condition and situation. For example, I used to spend so much time on building time that I had problems playing a piece from beginning to end without a mistake. I obviously did not spend time on my interpreting time and performing time. I believe this was my greatest takeaway lesson, to understand how one should not mix these blocks, but systematically move from one to the next. If there is a repeated mistake in the interpreting or performing time, one reverts then back to the building time to solve the problem. The book ends with a great bowing exercise called sans filet. You have to play the bow strokes as slow as possible. Galamian advises to start with open strings, scales, and then double stops. It's really very difficult. I remember at my best I could do 3 minutes. So try it out. The point here is to gain control of the bow and prepare it for phrasing. Think of yourself as an opera singer who has to save breath for a very long time. One adds then crescendos, diminuendos in different variations to improve bow control and tone production. Now, how to read this book for your maximum benefit? I would advise, based on my experience, to first read it through and get an idea of what the book covers and why you should read it in the first place. Then have it by the side, so if you're wondering about your left hand technique, read just that part. So start reading the book selectively, what you need at the moment. This is what I did, and I even marked with a pencil things that I didn't want to forget. This was my analysis of the principles of violin playing and teaching by Ivan Galamian. I hope you found this book beneficial and interesting, and if yes, then do please check out these other book recommendations. Please subscribe if you like this content and feel free to share your thoughts and book recommendations. Thanks for watching and see you next time.